The deep silence of space was broken by a single alarm echoing through the command deck of the human starship HSS Resolute. Every light flickered red as the warning spread across the fleet. Captain Ilara Voss stood at the center of the bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic screen before her. A strange energy wave was pulsing at the edge of the charted galaxy. It was coming from a dark region known as the Dominion Border, a place that every race in the galaxy feared. The Dominion was an empire older than humanity itself, known for destroying any civilization that dared to cross into their territory. No one had ever returned from their space. "Captain, we're picking up a signal," the communications officer said, his voice trembling slightly. "It's not random interference. It's a message." The entire bridge went silent. The message repeated, cold and mechanical, translated instantly by the ship's AI, "Do not cross." For a long moment, no one spoke. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Everyone knew what this meant. The Dominion had noticed them and they were warning them. Captain Ilara didn't move. Her eyes stayed locked on the pulsing red mark on the holographic star map. Humanity's Exploration Command had ordered them to chart this border to finally see what lay beyond. Turning back wasn't an option. Still, a faint chill ran through her chest. She whispered quietly, "Do not cross, or else what?" The bridge was filled with quiet tension. Outside the window, stars stretched endlessly, beautiful and cold. The Resolute floated in the darkness like a single spark defying the night. Ilara's second-in-command stepped beside her. "Ma'am," he said softly, "we've all heard the stories. The Dominion doesn't send warnings twice. Maybe it's best we report this and wait for orders." Ilara turned to face him, her expression calm but firm. "Orders have already been given, Lieutenant. We move forward." The engines roared to life, humming with quiet power. The fleet of 5 human ships aligned their formation and began to cross the invisible line that marked the Dominion's border. As they did, something strange happened. The stars around them began to fade. One by one, the lights of distant suns vanished, swallowed by an unnatural shadow. The ship's sensors went blind. Every reading turned to static. The communication channels crackled, then died. "Systems malfunctioning," the engineer called out. "It's like the entire space around us is bending." "Keep the course steady," Ilara ordered. "Don't stop." The Resolute pressed deeper into the darkness. Outside, the void seemed alive, shifting and pulsing like it was watching them. Then suddenly, every screen on the bridge flickered. A new signal appeared, strong and deliberate. The computer automatically decoded it. A distorted image formed. A massive alien warship, easily 10 times the size of the Resolute, emerged from the darkness. It was sleek, curved, and pulsing with blue organic light. No one breathed. The alien ship moved like a predator, silent and graceful, circling the human fleet. Then a deep voice filled the speakers, layered with static and metallic tones. "Human vessels," it said, "you have violated the Dominion border. You will surrender immediately or be destroyed." Kane looked at Ilara, fear flashing in his eyes. "Captain, they have us outgunned. We can't fight that." Ilara didn't answer right away. She took a slow breath, her eyes never leaving the alien ship. "Open a channel," she said calmly. The communications officer hesitated. "Captain, I said open a channel." The line clicked alive. Ilara stood straight, her voice steady. "This is Captain Ilara Voss of the United Human Fleet. We come in peace, but we do not surrender." There was a long silence. Then the alien voice returned, lowered this time, as if amused. "You misunderstand, human. No one enters the Dominion and survives. Leave now, or your species will be erased." Ilara's jaw tightened. "If you wanted to erase us, you wouldn't have warned us. You're afraid of something. Maybe afraid of what we might find." The bridge fell silent again. Even Kane looked shocked. The alien ship did not respond. It simply hovered there, enormous and silent, its blue veins glowing brighter. Then, without warning, the Dominion vessel fired a pulse of light, not a weapon, but a scan. Every human screen flashed. For a second they saw strange images, twisted shapes, living metal, and endless corridors of alien ships stretching into the dark. The scan ended, and suddenly everything went black. Dot lights flickered, systems rebooted. The Resolute floated in stillness. Then the radar came alive again, showing dozens of contacts, multiple ships inbound. Shouted the tactical officer. "They've surrounded us." Outside the viewports, shadows moved. Enormous alien cruisers emerged one after another, encircling the human fleet like sharks. Each ship glowed with the same pulsing blue veins, alive with energy. The crew stared, frozen in disbelief. "Humanity had never faced anything like this," Kane whispered. "We should have turned back." Ilara's voice cut through the fear. "No, not yet. They want us scared. They want us to kneel. But humanity doesn't kneel." Her words steadied the crew. The tactical officer looked up from his console. "Weapons ready." Captain orders. Ilara looked out at the alien fleet. The enemy's lights reflected in her eyes like stars. "We don't fire first," she said. "We wait. Let's see what they really want." Seconds felt like hours. The alien ships held their position. Then, one of them began transmitting again. The same deep voice echoed through the bridge. "You have courage, human. But courage means nothing against the Dominion, Alara replied coldly. Then you don't know humans. Suddenly, all alien ships lit up at once, their energy lines glowing bright blue. The Resolute's alarms screamed. The crew prepared for impact. But instead of firing, the alien fleet vanished. Every single ship blinked out of existence, leaving only empty space behind. The bridge fell silent again. The crew exchanged confused looks. Captain, Kane said slowly. What just happened? Alara stared at the empty void where the alien fleet had been moments ago. Her voice was low, almost a whisper. They didn't retreat. They're testing us. This was just the beginning. Outside, the stars remained dark and still. The Resolute floated alone at the edge of the unknown. And somewhere, in that endless shadow, the Dominion watched, waiting for the humans to make their next move. Hours passed since the alien fleet vanished, leaving the human ships floating alone in the silent dark. No signals, no movement, not even the faint hum of the scanners. It felt like the universe was holding its breath. Inside the command deck of the HSS Resolute, the air was thick with tension. Every officer spoke in whispers, afraid that even their voices might wake something hidden in the dark. Captain Alara Voss stood near the viewport, her hands clasped behind her back, watching the emptiness. She had faced wars, pirate ambushes, and black hole storms, but this silence felt worse than any battle. It wasn't just quiet, it was alive, like the Dominion was watching them through the dark. Lieutenant Kane finally broke the silence. Captain, scanners are still blind. Whatever tech they used, it scrambled everything. We can't even see our own sensor echoes. Alara turned, her voice calm but firm. Then we rely on instinct. Keep formation, no sudden moves. The engineer Mira looked up from her console. Captain, there's residual energy in the air. It's unlike anything I've seen. It's not radiation. It's biological. Biological? Kane frowned. You mean alive? Mira hesitated. I don't know, but our whole sensors are picking up what looks like heartbeat patterns. A low hum echoed through the ship, slow and rhythmic like the breathing of some giant creature. The entire bridge crew froze. For a moment, even the lights flickered in sync with the strange pulse. Origin? Alara asked. Byra swallowed hard. It's not coming from us, Captain. It's coming from outside. Before anyone could respond, a faint voice broke through the static of the comm system. It was distorted, metallic, and eerily calm. Human vessel. You remain in Dominion space. You were warned. Everyone turned toward the speaker. The voice continued. You are outnumbered. Your technology is primitive. Leave now, and you may live. Alara nodded to the comm officer. Open channel. The light blinked green. She stood tall, her tone steady. This is Captain Alara Voss of the United Human Fleet. We don't run from shadows. If you wish to talk, show yourself. A pause. Then the darkness outside began to twist. Like ink in water, it formed a massive shape, a ship materializing from the void. It was the same vessel they had seen before, but closer now, dwarfing the Resolute. Its surface shimmered with blue, organic light, as though veins of energy ran beneath its skin. The alien voice returned, now clearer. You should not have come here, human. The Dominion does not negotiate. You cross our border. You accept our judgment. Alara stepped forward. Then why haven't you fired? If your judgment is death, get it over with. There was a faint sound, not laughter, but something close. Interesting. No one has ever spoken to us like that. Tell me, Captain, why do you challenge the Dominion? Alara's eyes narrowed. Because fear builds empires, and humanity has lived in fear of you for too long. We came to see the truth for ourselves. The voice was silent for several seconds. Then it said, truth comes with pain. The alien ship's energy veins flared bright, and a beam of light burst forward, not an attack, but a scan. The Resolute shook as the beam swept across it. The lights dimmed, and the crew shielded their eyes. When the light faded, Kane checked the consoles. The systems are fine, but they just scanned everything, our weapons, engines, life signs, everything. Myra added quietly. It's like they're studying us, like scientists. Suddenly, the alien ship transmitted an image to their main screen. It was a projection of a planet, black and cracked, glowing faintly with blue energy. Around it floated thousands of Dominion ships. The image zoomed in to show enormous factories, and inside them, things that looked disturbingly human. Kane whispered. Are those bots? Myra shook her head, horrified. No, they're machines made from organic matter, half human, half metal. The alien voice spoke again. This is your future if you stay. The Dominion will consume you. Your ships, your worlds, your people, all will serve the core. Alara stared at the image, then replied coldly. You mistake us for slaves. The image vanished. Silence filled the room once again. Kane turned to her. Captain, they're not bluffing. We can't fight a force like that. We need to leave. Alara didn't answer. She looked out at the alien ship. If they wanted us gone, we'd already be dust. No, Kane, they're testing us. They want to see if we'll bend. Words unsettled the crew, but something in her voice made them trust her. She turned to Myra. Pripyat at data probe. Send everything we recorded to Earth Command. Then encrypt all channels. No one else hears what we just saw. Myra nodded and got to work. Moments later, the alien voice returned, this time softer. Captain Voss, the Dominion sees strength in you, but your courage will destroy your kind. Turn back now, and your world will live. Ilara's reply was simple. If you think you can break humanity, you don't know us at all. Then the alien ship fired again, not a beam this time, but a wave of force. The Resolute was thrown backward, alarms screaming. Panels burst into sparks, crew members struggling to stay on their feet. The ship shuddered violently as the energy rippled through its hull. Shields down to 60%. Kane shouted. We can't take another hit like that. Hold steady. Ilara commanded. Evasive maneuvers, pattern delta. The ship spun to the side, engines flaring bright. Another pulse hit them, grazing their flank, leaving trails of blue fire across the hull. But Ilara didn't retreat. She clenched her fists and shouted, "Target the emitter and fire." The human cannons roared. Streams of plasma burst from the Resolute, slamming into the Dominion ship's shield. It barely made a dent, but it was enough to surprise the enemy. The alien vessel drifted slightly back, its glowing veins dimming. The alien voice spoke again, now colder, so the humans bite back. Ilara smiled faintly. You have no idea. Then, just as suddenly as before, the Dominion ship vanished again, disappearing into the dark. The radar showed nothing. The silence returned. The bridge was filled with the sound of heavy breathing and flickering consoles. Kane looked at Ilara. Captain, they're playing with us. Ilara's gaze was fixed on the void outside. Maybe, she said softly, but they've made one mistake. Kane frowned. What mistake? They think fear will stop us. The camera on the ship's front hull recorded the last scene, the vast emptiness of the Dominion's border. No stars, no sound, only the whisper of a human voice in the dark. They wanted us to kneel. Instead, we took our first step into their world, and somewhere in the shadows, unseen by human eyes, something enormous moved, watching, waiting, learning. The game between humanity and the Dominion had just begun. The crew of the HSS Resolute barely slept after the encounter. The ship floated in the dark, lights dimmed, systems damaged, silence pressing against every wall. The Dominion had disappeared, but their presence still haunted the air like a shadow that refused to fade. No one could shake the feeling that they were being watched. Captain Ilara Voss sat in her private quarters, reviewing the sensor data. Every second of the alien encounter was burned into her memory. The strange pulse that shook their ship, the faint blue energy that lingered afterward, it didn't match any known power source. She zoomed in on the readings. The energy pattern was rhythmic, almost organic. It beat like a heart. Lieutenant Kane entered quietly, carrying 2 mugs of synthetic coffee. You've been at this for hours. Captain, he said, you should rest. Ilara didn't look up. Rest won't help. I've seen a lot of things in my career, Kane, but I've never seen a ship bleed energy like this. It's like it's alive. Kane frowned, setting 1 mug beside her. Alive, you think their ships are creatures? Ilara turned the screen toward him. The scan showed faint waves of energy moving across the alien hull, pulsing in rhythm. You tell me, she said. Kane stared at the data. His voice dropped. It's like a heartbeat. Before they could say more, a voice echoed over the intercom. Captain, you need to see this. We found something. Moments later, they were on the lower engineering deck. The air smelled of burnt metal and ozone. Engineer Mira stood beside a containment pod glowing faint blue. Inside floated a small fragment of alien material, a piece of hull plating recovered from their earlier battle. It pulsed with faint light, the same rhythm they had seen before. This came from the Dominion ship, Mira explained. We thought it was just metal, but when we scanned it, we found organic cells inside it. Cells, Kane repeated, like biological tissue. Myra nodded. Exactly. It's both half machine, half living organism. Whatever these ships are, they're not built. They're grown. Ilara stared at the glowing fragment. So, the Dominion doesn't build fleets. They breed them. The realization hit everyone hard. The Dominion wasn't just an empire, it was something alive. Something that used life itself as its weapon. Myra continued. The cells are reacting to our environment. Look, it's trying to connect to our systems. The light inside the pod brightened. Thin, glowing threads reached out from the fragment, pressing against the containment glass like veins, searching for blood. The crew stepped back. The pod sensors beeped rapidly. Shut it down, Ilara ordered. Myra hit the emergency seal, and the pod was flooded with containment foam. The glowing threads stopped moving, fading back into silence. But the shock stayed with them. Kane exhaled slowly. Whatever that thing is, it tried to merge with our ship. Maybe it wanted to take control. Ilara nodded. The Dominion uses life as technology. If they can make ships out of living matter, what else can they make? Before anyone could answer, the ship's alarm blared. Unidentified energy surge deck 12. The crew rushed to the elevator. The doors opened to a corridor filled with flickering lights. Blue lines crawled along the walls like veins, pulsing faintly. The energy fragment they'd captured wasn't contained after all. Its energy was spreading. Mira's voice shook. It's feeding off the ship's power grid. The lights flickered again, and for a moment, the walls seemed to move. Ilara drew her sidearm, scanning the hallway. Contain it before it spreads to the reactor. Kane and Myra ran toward the control room. Sparks flew from the panels as they tried to shut down the power conduits. The ship groaned, a deep, mechanical moan that didn't sound like metal at all. "Captain," Myra shouted, "it's not just spreading through the wires. It's moving through the air ducts too. Cut all power to this deck." Alara ordered. The lights went out, leaving only the soft blue glow of the alien energy crawling along the floor. It shimmered, twisting like living veins. Then, slowly, the glow began to fade. Myra checked her scanner. "It's retreating, back into the containment area." Kane exhaled. "It knows we're watching." Alara holstered her weapon. "Seal the deck. No one goes near it again. I want constant monitoring. If it moves, I want to know." Back on the bridge, the crew sat in uneasy silence. The Dominion had vanished, but a piece of it was now inside their ship. Alara gazed at the dark screen where faint static flickered. She could almost feel the enemy studying them. Then a voice came through, faint, broken, but unmistakable. "Captain Voss, curious creatures, playing with life you cannot understand." Everyone froze. The signal wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from inside the ship. Alara's voice turned cold. "Who is this?" The reply was slow, almost whispering. "The Dominion sees everything. You cannot fight what you cannot kill." Then silence. Myra's hands trembled. "Captain, that wasn't a recording. That thing is alive inside our systems." Kane clenched his fists. "They planted it when they scanned us. It's like a virus." Alara stood still for a moment. Then she said quietly, "They wanted us to bring their technology on board. This was their plan all along." The entire ship shuddered suddenly. The main lights flickered, and the view outside changed. The stars shifted. "Navigation's off," shouted the pilot. "Something's overriding the controls." Alara gritted her teeth. "Manual override." Now, the crew fought against the system. The ship jerked, the engines flaring wildly. The AI voice stuttered, repeating corrupted phrases. Finally, Myra slammed a control panel open and ripped out the core connection. Sparks burst out, and the ship went dark. For several seconds, there was nothing but the sound of heavy breathing. Then, slowly, emergency lights came on. The engine stabilized. The stars returned to view. Myra wiped sweat from her face. "We're back online." But whatever that thing was, it tried to take control of the ship's mind. Alara nodded. "It failed this time. But now we know what we're dealing with." Kane looked at her. "Serious." "Captain, we can't fight an enemy that's part machine and part living thing, not like this." Alara turned toward the viewport, her expression unreadable. "Then we don't fight their way. We find out what powers them and we stop it." Outside, the black void of the Dominion stretched endlessly. Somewhere out there, millions of living ships waited, breathing together like a single creature. And for the first time, humanity realized they weren't facing an empire. They were facing a living god. Alara whispered under her breath, "Let's see if gods can bleed." The HSS Resolute drifted through the endless dark, its hull scarred and scorched. Blue lines still faintly glowed along its sides, the last traces of the alien energy that had nearly taken over. The crew worked in silence, repairing what they could, trying to erase the memory of that terrifying moment when their own ship had felt alive. But no amount of repair could fix the fear that had rooted itself deep inside every heart. On the command bridge, Captain Alara Voss stood alone, looking out the viewport into the void. The stars were gone again, swallowed by the Dominion's darkness. The silence was heavy, too heavy. Her reflection looked back at her from the glass, calm but haunted. Behind her, Lieutenant Kane stepped forward quietly. "Captain H said we've finished purging the remaining alien code from the systems, but the ship's AI still shows signs of corruption. It's whispering things." Alara turned her head slightly. "What kind of things?" Kane hesitated. "Voices mostly, not words, just sounds, like breathing." The captain didn't react. She had expected as much. "Keep it isolated. If the Dominion wants to listen, let them. They'll hear what humanity sounds like when it's not afraid." Kane nodded but looked uneasy. "Ma'am, morale is low. Half the crew thinks we should turn back. They say we've seen enough." Ilara's eyes hardened. "And what do you think, Lieutenant?" He paused before answering. "I think they're right to be afraid, but fear isn't the same as surrender." She allowed a small smile. "Good, because we're not turning back, not yet." A sudden sound cut through the air. The sharp tone of the proximity alarm. "Contact detected." The tactical officer shouted. "Multiple ships inbound." The crew jumped to stations. On the main screen, dozens of blue dots appeared, moving fast. Dominion ships. The energy signatures were enormous, each one alive with pulsing light. The air filled with the hum of charging weapons. "They found us," Kane said under his breath, or Alara replied. "We found them." The first of the alien ships dropped out of warp, massive, organic, and terrifyingly beautiful. Their hulls shimmered like the surface of a living ocean, veins of light flowing across them. The crew stared in awe. A transmission came through. The familiar cold voice of the Dominion commander filled the bridge. "Human vessel Resolute, you were warned. This is your final chance. Surrender your ship. Submit to the Corps." Alara's hand rested calmly on the arm of her chair. "And if we refuse," the voice replied, "then you and your kind will be erased." Alara rose slowly, her voice sharp and clear. Humanity doesn't kneel, not to kings, not to gods, and not to monsters. For a heartbeat, there was silence. Then the alien fleet began to move. Battle stations, she shouted. Shields up, all power to forward weapons. The Resolute came alive, engines roaring. Blue light flared across the viewport as plasma cannons powered up. The crew moved with trained precision, fear replaced by focus. Target the nearest ship, Kane ordered. Locked, fire. The first human volley streaked through the dark, striking the alien hull. The Dominion ship's shield rippled like water, absorbing the blast. Then it responded with terrifying speed. A beam of blue energy cut through space, slicing past the Resolute's bow and grazing one of the smaller escort ships. The explosion was silent but bright, a flower of fire in the dark. HSS Vanguard is gone, shouted the sensor officer. Ilaro's jaw tightened. Keep firing. Aim for the glowing nodes, that's where the energy pulses. The gunners adjusted, firing another barrage. This time, one of the alien ship's vanes shattered, spilling liquid light into the void. The creature-like vessel roared, an actual sound transmitted through. There comes a deep, animalistic scream that chilled everyone on board. Kane stared at the screen. It's alive, Captain, we heard it. Ilara's eyes narrowed. Good, now finish the job. The human fleet pressed the attack, moving in formation. Despite being outnumbered, they fought like predators. For every ship the Dominion destroyed, the humans took one down with them. The void lit up with streaks of plasma and bursts of fire. The Resolute shuddered as another blast hit. Shields at 40%. Myra yelled from engineering. Reroute power from the secondary drive. Ilara ordered. We're not running anywhere. Another Dominion ship moved in close, its glowing tendrils extending toward the Resolute. The tendrils latched onto the hull, crawling across the metal like living vines. Sparks burst from every panel. It's attaching itself, Kane shouted, trying to drain our systems. Ilara grabbed the comfortable hands, brace for detonation. Engineering. Overload reactor coil 3. Now, Captain, that will blow out half the ship, Mira warned. Do it. A second later, a burst of white light erupted from the Resolute's side. The Dominion creature screamed as the explosion tore it away, its glowing veins burning out as it drifted lifelessly into the dark. The bridge was filled with cheers. For the first time, the humans had killed one of the Dominion's living ships. Kane turned to Ilara, eyes wide. We did it. Ilara didn't smile. No, we survived a minute longer than they expected. Outside, more Dominion ships appeared on the horizon, dozens of them, moving like a swarm. The first wave had only been scouts. Mira's voice came over the intercom, breathless. Captain, we can't hold against that many. We'll be torn apart. Ilara looked at the stars, or rather where the stars should have been. Not if we make them hesitate, she said quietly. She activated the fleet-wide channel. Her voice went out to every human ship in range. This is Captain Ilara Voss of the HSS Resolute. You've all seen what we're facing. You've seen what they can do. They want us to kneel, to surrender our will, our fire, our humanity. But we are not built for that. Humanity doesn't kneel. Not today, not ever. Her voice grew stronger, echoing through every deck, every ship. They may be stronger, faster, and older, but they don't understand what makes us human. This refusal to give up, our stubborn belief that we belong among the stars. If this is where we end, then we'll end standing. The crew straightened. Fear turned into resolve. Even the wounded smiled faintly. Kane's voice cracked slightly as he said, all ships ready. Captain Ilara nodded. Then let's remind the galaxy who we are. The Dominion fleet closed in, forming a glowing wall of blue light. But before they could strike, the Resolute surged forward, leading the charge. The human fleet followed, engines blazing, weapons firing in perfect unison. The stars vanished under the light of battle. Metal, fire, and courage collided in the endless dark. And as the first Dominion cruiser exploded, Ilara whispered to herself words only she could hear. If they think we'll kneel, they've already lost. The silence after battle was deafening. The Resolute drifted through the wreckage of broken ships, pieces of metal and glowing fragments floating all around. The human fleet had survived, but barely. Half their ships were gone, and the rest were wounded, engines burning, shields flickering, lights dim. Space itself felt heavy, filled with the ghosts of those who had fallen. Captain Ilara Voss stood on the bridge staring at the blackness ahead. Her reflection in the glass looked older now. Lines of exhaustion around her eyes stood across her uniform. Lieutenant Kane stood beside her, a deep cut along his forehead. Blood dried, but his stance still strong. Casualty reports are still coming in, Kane said quietly. We lost the Vanguard, Eclipse, and Hammerfall. Dozens more can't jump. We're the only ship still fully operational. Ilara didn't move, and the Dominion. Kane pointed to the scanners. Their fleet scattered. We took out more than anyone thought possible, but they'll regroup. They always do. Ilara finally turned to him. Then we move before they do. Plot a course deeper into Dominion space. Kane's eyes widened. Deeper, Captain. We barely survived this fight. We should retreat. Regroup with command. We can't. She cut him off sharply. If we retreat now, they'll follow us back to human space. We lead them away. He hesitated, then nodded. Yes, ma'am. As he went to relay the orders, Mira's voice crackled through the intercom from engineering. Captain, we've got something strange down here. You might want to see this yourself. Ilara frowned. On my way, she descended through the dim corridors of the Resolute, each step echoing. The ship's lighting flickered in some sections, damaged wires sparking softly. Crew members moved quietly, tending to injuries and repairing systems. Everyone looked exhausted, but there was a quiet pride among them. They had faced the Dominion and lived in engineering. Myra was standing over an open console, her expression tense. This started about 10 minutes ago, she said. Some kind of foreign signal is bleeding into our systems. It's not like before. This one's intelligent. The HSS Resolute cut through the dark like a wounded predator, its engines burning blue and steady as it entered the deepest region of Dominion space. Around it, the stars grew dimmer, fading behind a thick web of alien energy fields. The space here didn't feel empty anymore. It felt alive, pulsing faintly, like a giant breathing creature waiting for its prey. Captain Ilara Voss stood on the bridge, watching the readings change. The scanners flickered constantly, unable to stay locked on anything. Dominion interference was everywhere, faint whispers in the static, shadows on the radar that vanished when looked at directly. Navigation's a mess, said Lieutenant Kane. Every course we plot shifts after a few minutes. It's like the space itself doesn't want us here. Ilara didn't take her eyes off the main screen. Then we make it want us here. Keep manual control and trust the stars we can see. He nodded and got back to work. But the crew could feel it. Something had changed since the battle. The silence inside the ship was thicker. The corridors were dimmer, and at times it almost felt like the ship was listening. Below deck, Engineer Mira worked on repairing the damaged power relays. Sparks flew as she tightened a bolt, muttering under her breath. She was alone in the maintenance bay, the hum of machinery the only sound. Then, through the static of the intercom, a voice spoke softly. Mira, help me. She froze. Her wrench dropped to the floor. The voice was familiar, too familiar. It was Lieutenant Rake's voice, one of the crew who died in the last battle. Her heart pounded. Who's there? She whispered. The voice came again, clearer this time. It's me, Rake. I'm trapped. You left me behind. Myra's breath quickened. She looked around, but the bay was empty. That's impossible, she said. You're dead. The voice finished for her, echoing through every speaker. Then why can you still hear me? The lights flickered, and the hum of the engines grew louder, almost like a heartbeat. Mira ran from the room, her boots pounding against the metal floor. She reached the lift and slammed the button for the bridge. When the doors opened, she stumbled out, pale and shaking. Captain, she gasped. Something's wrong. The ship, it's talking to me. Ilara turned, calm but alert. Talking. Mira nodded, trying to catch her breath. It used Rake's voice. He's dead, Captain, but I swear it was him. Kane frowned. Could it be an AI glitch? Myra shook her head violently. No, I know our system. This wasn't our AI. This was something else. It knew things only Rake would know. Ilara looked toward the ceiling where the faint hum of the ship's systems could be heard. Whatever's inside this space, it's trying to get inside us too. Before anyone could respond, the lights dimmed. A sharp tone echoed across the bridge, followed by a distorted message on the speakers. You should not have come here, humans. Every console screen flickered, symbols and blue veins crawling across the display. The crew scrambled to shut it down, cut the main data feed. Kane shouted. Now, Mira slammed a switch, and the power in half the ship shut down instantly. The bridge was plunged into semi-darkness, lit only by emergency red lights. The message stopped. For a long moment, nobody moved. The silence was so deep they could hear their own breathing. Then Ilara said quietly, they're testing us, seeing how far they can reach. Kane looked at her. Captain, if the Dominion can get inside our systems, they can control us. Ilara's eyes were cold. Then we'll fight them in the only place they can't reach, our minds. That night, or what passed for night in deep space, the crew tried to rest, but sleep didn't come easily. Some heard whispers in their quarters. Others saw faces and reflections. One crewman swore he saw a shadow walking past his bunk, even though the room was sealed. Fear spread quietly through the ship like smoke. In her private cabin, Ilara recorded her captain's log. This is Ilara Voss, day 46 in Dominion space. The crew is holding, but something unseen is hunting us. We're getting closer to the crucible. The deeper we go, the stranger it becomes. It's like space itself remembers things here, things it wants us to feel. Fear, loss, guilt. If this is what the Dominion calls home, I understand why they want to infect others. No one should ever live in this darkness. She paused, looking at the flickering light above her. It pulsed once, in rhythm with her heartbeat. She ended the log. We continue tomorrow. Whatever's waiting at the crucible will face it. The next morning, alarms blared across the ship. Captain, Kane's voice shouted through comms. We've got movement. Something's following us. Ilara ran to the bridge. On the scanner, a faint blip moved through the void, staying just behind them. Can you identify it? She asked. Not yet, Kane said. It's strange. The readings say it's human. The bridge went silent. That's impossible, Myra whispered. There are no human ships this deep, none. Kane looked again, disbelief on his face. Captain, it's broadcasting an ID code. Alara leaned forward. Whose code? He swallowed. It's the HSS Vanguard. Everyone froze. The Vanguard had been destroyed in the first battle. Ilara's heart pounded as the image appeared on the screen, a dark, half-destroyed ship drifting silently behind them. Its lights were faint, its hull cracked, but it was undeniably human. How is that possible? Myra whispered. The transmission channel crackled to life. A voice came through, distorted, broken, but clear enough to recognize. ELARA. We made it, help us. Kane stared in horror. That's Commander Hale. He was on the Vanguard. Ilara's voice was barely above a whisper. Patch it through. The voice came again, more desperate. Please, we need, help us. But the signal was strange. Behind Hale's words, there was another sound, a low rhythmic pulse, almost like breathing. Mira looked at the readings. Captain, the signal's not coming from their comms system. It's coming from inside their ship, from their power core. Ilara's eyes darkened. That's not Hale. Kane turned toward her, confused. Then what is it? Ilara stared at the screen. The Vanguard drifted closer, its shattered hull glowing faintly with blue veins, the same light that had tried to infect them before. Her voice was low but firm. It's a corpse wearing a familiar face. As the ghost ship drew nearer, the Dominion's trap revealed itself, a trap wrapped in the face of humanity's dead. And in that moment, the crew of the Resolute realized that their greatest battle would not be against the Dominion's fleets, but against what the Dominion could make of them.